Hey guys. Last time I forgot to bring my microphone up here, so you probably didn't hear anything I said. Happy Wednesday. We're doing Hoerner Happy Hour Wednesday, 6 o'clock, 6 p.m. Eastern. I have some stuff going on tomorrow, so I pushed it up. Hopefully that gets some new people to be able to show up. I know all the times are hard for you guys, so I try and mix it up a little bit. I have a few questions and then one thing that I want to go over at the end, so make sure you stay on until we finish. Sorry, I'm a little sweaty. Came straight from class. My cheeks are still a little red. Also, I got henna at an Indian wedding that I went to this weekend. Didn't realize it lasts 2 weeks, so I've had a lot of people ask me if I got hand tattoos. I didn't. It's just temporary, but, well, I hope. Anyways, hey guys, I see you starting to come on, so I'm going to hop right into our first question. So these questions, actually a few of them weren't direct questions. Hey Mary, but I saw them come up in the group a lot. One of them being when I asked what your biggest area of improvement as an instructor is, tons of you guys said something related to coming up with motivational cues, which probably makes sense because a lot of you are in here because you downloaded my free cues and then decided to join the group. So I guess that makes sense. But I find that so fascinating because I think all of you are great instructors. I'm sure you know what you're doing on the bike and how to cue it. But when it comes to that motivational piece, sometimes it feels forced, right? It feels fake. And that's the worst, especially as a rider. When you go to a class and you hear someone who has a very canned, rehearsed, motivational speech for you, it's just, you can't get into it. You can't associate with that person. You can't associate with the story they're telling because you know it's not really real. So I actually go through, hey Josette, I go through a lot of this stuff in CPM, so I can't really give it the justice that I want to. It's pretty much a whole module, the emotional piece of the poet, if you will, emotional theme. But I will talk a little bit about some stuff that I've been doing recently to help with the motivational piece, because I'm the same way. I mean, sometimes you get into like a dip in your class and you just don't feel that motivational piece, or you feel it, but you have a hard time communicating it. So lately what I've been doing is I need something that is super relevant to me. So if I have something going on, for example, today, this is super small, but one of the songs I picked, so back up, my husband is away for the week. He's traveling, and I always miss him when he's gone. You know, you always appreciate people more when they're not around, right? So I was missing him, so I put a song in that reminds me of him. It's a song that was playing on his drive to go pick up my engagement ring. So like before he proposed and all that. Super sappy, I know, but I kind of told that story and I weaved it into, you know, the idea that we need to start to appreciate the people in our lives, because when they're gone, obviously we, you know, it sounded much better when I did it this morning, but we lose that appreciation until we need it, right? Until they're gone and we feel it. And so we spent some time, we always have a song where we kind of, you know, we take some time to ourselves and I give a little inspiration at the beginning. I give them what they need and then they take it. And so this song was about, you know, finding those people, that person that maybe you lost touch with, or maybe you just don't appreciate enough, and they're in your life regularly. Think about that person. Imagine them riding next to you right now. And, you know, I kind of set up some imagery, and once I get up there and I have a general idea in my head, I go away with it. I think that's the key with motivation, though. It has to come from a feeling of real, like you have to feel it, whatever you're saying, whatever you're feeling. And sometimes we feel like we don't have anything in us. We got to pull it out. So that might mean, you know, writing things down as they happen, or going back and thinking about the past couple days. When have you felt kind of emotional? Or you've been taking some time to think to yourself about certain issues. It doesn't have to be mind-blowing. Maybe you started a new job and you're struggling, and you know, we all struggle sometimes, and that's what you're dealing with. So you can draw on that and draw on those feelings. It gets easier the more that you do it, but I really believe that it has to be personal to you. You can't just go in there and, you know, quote a Martin Luther King speech and get everyone riled up, because that's not yours to give. It has to be yours. So that's what I would say about that. That's what I've been doing lately. Now, granted, you could watch a movie or read a book and pull something from that if it speaks to you, but it's got to speak to you, because if it's not something that you feel is powerful, then you won't be able to communicate it in a powerful way. So I have a lot more to say on that. If you're interested in CPM, you should check it out. Otherwise, I'll keep giving more tips as I think of them. Right now, that's kind of what I'm going with for motivational cues. So hopefully that was helpful. Let's see. Oh, and Amy mentioned also, she said, can we talk about eye contact? Because she feels like, she does her scan to make sure everyone is, sorry, I'm skipping around in these topics, but she feels like she does her scan to make sure everyone's, in good shape in terms of their form and what they're doing. And then what the heck does she do after that? So I kind of do the same thing. I'm always scanning the room, especially when I'm speaking. I'm making sure I'm looking at them. But it's totally fine to, look down for a second, or, look like out into the back of the room. That's the trick I think a lot of people do, is look at like the top of people's heads, or, look through them, behind them. So it looks like you're looking at them, but you don't have that awkward fixation because you're not looking directly deep into their eyes. It does get easier, I think, as you figure out the way that you speak and when you want to be looking at them. So like I said, I always, whenever I'm cueing, whether it's motivational or form related, or just telling them what we're doing, I always look at them. I see, are they receiving this? Is it making sense? Are they doing what I'm asking them right now? Or is it not getting communicated in the way that I want it? So I'm looking for their reaction. In the moments of silence, it's fine to just ride. If they're going to mirror you, right? So if you're just staring at them, silent, they're going to be looking at you, waiting for the next word. If you're, riding, you can look down a little bit or look in front of you and ride. If that's what you want them to be doing, they will do the same. So I think it's okay to, do what you're cueing, because again, they're going to mirror you. So if you're looking at them, they're going to look back at you. Hopefully that made sense. But it is tricky. Sometimes it's awkward, especially if there's not a lot of people in class. If it's a quiet or summer class and you have like 3 people, where do you look? You look directly at this. It gets a little weird, but I'm sure you're doing great with it. And the other thing is too, we always think we look weirder, and we always think we sound worse and cheesier than we actually do. They like that stuff. That's why they come. So don't worry about it. Okay, Martin asked, I love this question, Martin. He asked, what really is a rolling hill? And first of all, he said, what were his words? I don't want to say you said it was a stupid question. You said something that you should know this or something like that. This is the kind of stuff this is why I created this group, because there's lots of, quote, simple questions like that were never answered, either in a certification or otherwise, or they have a million different answers and they contradict each other. So a rolling hill for me, and for most of you, is probably some sort of hill in which, or like a song with multiple hills where you're adding or you're climbing at a heavy resistance, and then on the other side of it, you're taking a little bit of that resistance off and you're picking up the pace. Now, you could be adding gear or adding speed as you go up the hill, and when you come down, of course, you don't want to be, 0 resistance on that bike. They're still at least on a flat. But other than that, it's totally up to you. You can play with it. Just imagine, honestly, all it is a bit of work and a bit of rest and a bit of work and a bit of rest. So it's intervals, more or less. It's just with resistance. So people call it a rolling hill. But giving a visual like that is more for the riders. We call it a rolling hill just because that's, how we structure it. But there's really a lot of flexibility within that term to make it different. So with different speeds, with different gears, different lengths of time that you're on the hill, all those things, you can mess with it. It's not, one specific, like a Tabata. It's not, very specific as to what you do. So hopefully that, I know it was a super broad answer, but I think that you were asking the question because you were probably doing it a lot of different ways, which is good. We want that. We want variety. You don't want to get stuck in doing the same things all the time. So you can definitely have there's a poetic license that's associated with our routines, and we're allowed to kind of pick and choose as long as it's within a general guideline. So, I guess that's it. Maybe this could be a question for now. Mary, okay, Mary, I like that question, so I'm going to answer it. Mary asks, what if you're having everyone do a move, like in second position and on a hill, and no one does it? So we all have people in our classes who just won't do what we coach, which everyone has their reason for not doing it. They might have injuries. They might just not want to do it, whatever. But when it is everyone in the class, it's a little awkward, right? Because you're up there doing it and no one around you is doing it. Keep up with what you're planning. And then at the end of that interval or at the end of whatever it is, you kind of change on the fly. So instead of doing, an interval in second, maybe you have them in the saddle and you just have them add gear instead of coming back out of the saddle. That's how we adjust. You could continue to do it the way that you want to do it and the way that you planned. Maybe they're just taking a little break. Maybe you had a hard song and they needed a breather, and then they're going to join you next time. I wouldn't recommend, by the way, a heavy hill in second, because a lot of people just can't handle that. If you try maybe moving it out to third, just try mixing what you're doing. So if it's not working, you don't see them responding, and no one's doing what you're coaching, just try something else. Try to tweak it just a little bit. See if you get some people in. I don't know what kind of demographic you're working with. If they're older, like if I have a group of, a lot of older people, I'm not going to do a ton of choreography, because I know that they're probably not going to, if it's people I know, I don't mean to stereotype, but the ones that I've had in my classes, I recognize the people that won't do certain things. So I adjust on the fly, which can be stressful. And if that stresses you out, just keep with what you're doing and they'll adjust. It's totally fine. But if you want to adjust with them, you can just change what you had planned by throwing in a different interval or whatever it was that you were working on. Does that make sense? Hopefully that makes sense. But it is common that people are in class and don't do what we're asking. It's just how it is. I mean, I imagine that we all go to classes, whether it's cycling or otherwise, and don't do the things. So I have a wrist brace on right now because I can't, I have tendonitis in my wrist. And I did a Barry's boot camp the other day, and I didn't do the push-ups because I knew it was going to hurt, and I just did my own thing. And there's always going to be reasons why people do or don't do stuff. So don't be offended or anything. Don't think that you planned a class that people can't do. I'm sure it was fine. It was just you had those people in class that didn't want to do it. So adjust on the fly. Do your best. It's kind of a fun little improv game to try to learn how to adjust when that stuff happens. Okay, last question. Sorry, I'm just reading through these. Mixed, yeah. Okay, good. So not question. So here's what I'm thinking, guys, because I love that you guys are all so involved in this group, because obviously I'm here all the time and I love it and it's wonderful and it really just brightens my day. Like, I love Hoerner Happy Hour, even though I don't get to actually see you guys. I get so excited for it. So I'm thinking in September, maybe October, depending on how quickly I can get my act together, I want to run some sort of challenge, which is funny because Amy actually asked the question of the exact challenge that I was thinking of running. Basically, I wanted to, maybe 10 days of me posting a song, and you guys tell me what you would do with it. And then, I'll somehow pick a winner at the end of 10 days, and the winner will get a prize. I'm sure I got to figure all that out. I'm going to plan it out probably tomorrow. But I think it would be really cool, especially if we might create it in a separate group so that people have to participate a little bit. I don't want like 2 people being the only ones who post every day and then people are just taking their ideas. I want it to be like a group effort. I want people to participate. So we might have a spin-off iciCrew group for this challenge, but we'll see. But I think it'd be really fun. We could I'll post a song in the morning, and then you can have the day to come up with something that you would do on the bike, maybe even post a video of you doing it, which would be awesome. I think we need more videos in here of people on the bike. I think that's a must. So I got to hash this out a little bit, but I think it'd be really fun. So if you guys are interested in something like that, let me know. Okay. All right. I'm assuming based on that would be yes. And I'll come back in. I'll give you more details next week. Hoerner Happy Hour next week, because I'm definitely going to think this through tomorrow and this weekend and stuff. So stay tuned, but it's going to be fun. And I think it will get us back in the swing of things in the fall, get everyone excited, get some new songs out, some new ideas, some juices flowing. It'll be great. So I'm excited. Anyways, I will update you guys next week when I have more details. And I think that's it for tonight. I don't see any other questions. So as always, if you have them, ask them in the group. I'll check back. And I'll see you guys next week. Oh, and happy Labor Day for my Americans. Long weekend. Woo. All right. Bye, guys.